Hey, BK, how about a little pee-wee boxing in the audience tonight? Look at this guy. He says, oh, watch out for my left hand. He said, let me give you a lesson. You see, here's what you want to do. Put this right out, but watch out for my sneaky left hook. There it is, boom. Knockout power. Boy, it's the biggest attraction in the fight game, isn't it? And it is the one thing that Darnell Wilson has plenty of. Tonight in our main event, the Dingling Man will try to keep his win streak going against a man who's never lost. It's Wilson versus unbeaten BJ Flores, our 12-round cruiserweight main event. There's Darnell Wilson. He says he desperately wants a world title shot. This could take him a step closer. The top of the mountain is within sight, 9th in the world and climbing. That's a place Darnell Wilson could have only dreamed of a year and a half ago. He had lost 4 straight, but then wins over Daniel Judah and Dale Brown set up this against Kelvin Davis a year ago this month. Wilson went down in the 2nd round of their showdown, but then in the 3rd round, he came back. A left hook started it. A right hand finished it. Then on June 29th, the Dingling Man rang the bell of Emmanuel Nwodo. It was a stirring 11th round KO victory, a come-from-behind knockout that's been replayed by fight fans all year long. The knockout of the year came after Wilson lost rounds 5 through 9 on every scorecard.
I put my life into the left hook when I hit Emmanuel, and, you know, I had to win that fight at all costs at that point, you know, because I had a feeling that it was real close and I was possibly behind at that point, even though it was actually, you know, even up at that point of the knockout. But I knew that I had to do something dramatic to win that fight.
Now Wilson targets undefeated BJ Flores. He's a talented 2-time national amateur champ, ready for his biggest step up as a pro. Just over a year ago, he outlasted Chris Thomas. He dominated the action, but went down in the 9th, still held on for a 12-round unanimous decision win.
I'm young, I'm up and coming, I'm hungry, I'm undefeated, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. I will win this fight tonight.
BJ is well aware of this scene and feels Wilson's power won't surge tonight.
He does have the knockout power, the eraser, as Teddy says, to erase all the bad things that he has done leading up to that point into the fight. But I don't look to make those same mistakes that his past opponents have made. I feel like he's in with a young, undefeated, hungry fighter who's willing to do anything to win this fight tonight. He's going to have to find a way to overcome that, and one punch isn't going to do it.
Let's go, BJ!
And there is Stephanie, BJ's wife, ringside with the PTI style heads on a stick of BJ Flores. Don't see that often ringside. BJ Flores, not a young unbeaten prospect, 29-year-old man on a mission. He's fought at heavyweight, but better suited at 200 pounds. He was 218 for his last fight, 20-0-1 with 13 knockouts. And the foundation of his career, well grounded in the amateur ranks. 0-1-0-2, a national amateur champ. 97 was a national Golden Glove champ. Also spent 2 years on a Mormon church mission, living in Julio Cesar Chavez's hometown in Mexico. And there is the Dingling Man, a nickname he says, quote, for reasons other than boxing. His boxing career has been dinging out 19 opponents among his 22 wins. And we've told you plenty about his 4-fight win streak over quality opponents. Prior to that, he faced very good competition and went 2-4-2 in his previous 8 fights to the win streak. Flores versus Wilson. Here's Teddy Atlas's fight plan, sponsored by AutoZone.
Can somebody pick a winner? What do you think?
I'll take this.
All right. Plenty of speed here. But what we're dealing with right now, tonight in the main event, with the fighter that I'm demonstrating, Wilson, speed has nothing to do with it. Power. So who's going to be Flores? That's the quick guy. He's going to use his jab. He's going to move a little. He's going to try to box. But for Wilson, he's got to take that jab away. Well, he doesn't have a good jab, so how's he going to do it? Bang. Right hand over the jab with the power. And again, Wilson, not the quickest guy, but that power may allow him to go to the winner's circle and cash his ticket in. We've already established that for Wilson to cross the finish line first, it's going to come to power. Now we're going to deal with Flores. I'm going to play Flores. We talked about his speed, and we talked about the jab. Now, the jab's going to be important for Flores, but we showed already that if he throws one jab, look what's going to happen. The power of Wilson's going to show itself. He's going to time it over it. He's got the experience. So guess what? I think Flores, hey, we're at a racetrack, right? He needs to hit a daily double. 2 jabs, better than 1. Bang, bang. That keeps the right hand, that dangerous right hand of Wilson's home. And if he can throw those 2 jabs, he can hit the double, and he can hit a big win in his career.
Well, from the horse trainers here at the harness track at Dover Downs to one of the greatest trainers of all time, Hall of Famer Lou Duba ringside to see Darnell Wilson and BJ Flores. It is a 12-round cruiserweight fight, and Double S, Steve Smoger's the ref.
Dressing room, please obey my commands. Respect the bell, and above all, protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves. God bless.
Flores and Wilson, the USBA.
The ring experience between Flores and Wilson. Wilson, obviously a step up for Flores. In his 30 fights, Wilson has fought many top contenders among the cruiserweights. Ring Magazine's #9 in the world. Coming off that knockout of the year, he is in the black trunks. Flores is in the white trunks.
Wilson was cut over his left eye in his last fight. He's been cut there before. That means two things. There's scar tissue there, and there's weakness there.
See if it becomes an issue tonight. BJ Flores got some sparring in with Hasim Rahman, former heavyweight champion, as well as some top Olympians from Uzbekistan. He said he wanted to let him know. I want your thought on this, Teddy. He said he wanted to let Darnell Wilson know early that he's in a fight.
What he needs to do is let himself know early and late what the fight plan is. If he gets a little too stubborn with that undefeated record and too proud, and as I said in the top, too arrogant, he might get too close to Wilson. I don't think he wants to be close. I think he wants to be smart and on the outside.
Lunging left hand from the Dingling Man.
You know, your strength can be your weakness. The strength for Flores is his speed, his jab, his youth, and his confidence. But that can turn around real quick and become his weakness, because being overconfident and wanting to prove something can bring him into the territory that Wilson needs him to be in.
And all it takes is one moment from Wilson to make him pay for a mistake like that.
It's the kind of fight where Wilson could probably make mistakes and still be in the fight. Flores, one mistake, and he may be out of the fight. There's disadvantages and advantages always in a fight. The disadvantage is first for Flores. Lack of experience, lack of power. Advantages, we touched on it, Joe. Speed, and he's not learned how to lose yet. And also, he's been the bigger man.
Darnell chases Flores down against the ropes, but then backs out. Saw a glimpse of the big sweeping left hook that has become his signature.
No, it's good punches, hold straight.
And a sweeping right hand of his own from BJ Flores.
You can see Flores, his mouth is open. He's hyperventilating a little bit. He's nervous. He's never been here before. This first round is big, just to get it out of the way.
Just to settle down. Biggest stage he has been on in his career. The unbeaten BJ Flores and the Dingling Man at the end of one. Round into our very strong main event here in Delaware. Next week on Friday Night Fights, presented by Just for Men Hair Color. 9 o'clock start for Delvin Rodriguez against Troy Browning, and Corey Spinks will be with Brian Kenny in studio. We will be at Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut next week on Friday Night Fights, presented by Just for Men Hair Color. Round number 2 between the unbeaten BJ Flores and Darnell Wilson. So, Teddy, he makes it through that first round when you said, yes, mouth was open, hyperventilating, a little nervous. This should serve him better now, having put that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, you know why? Because now it's just another fight. Now it's not the biggest stage in your life. Now it's not just a step up to a place you've never been before. Now it's something that you've known before, something that you've done before. It's boxing.
BJ Flores and his family, no stranger to pressure. His brother Jeremy kicked the game-winning field goal for Colorado over Texas in the 2001 Big 12 championship game. His grandfather was an amateur fighter in Mexico and a pilot who survived an amazing tale of a crash in the Yukon and sub-freezing temperatures. His father, a pilot, a commercial pilot, who was able to escape harm in a hijacked plane situation in the early 80s. There's a left hand from Flores.
We talk about using your height a lot of times, and you see the height advantage to Flores. He's using it on the outside, attacking from a place where Wilson cannot answer back, being the shorter man. And also, by staying outside, Flores taking advantage of Wilson being shorter. What I mean by that,
Step out, hands up, coming
he's
out.
creating situations where Wilson has to reach in, falls in a little bit, and that's going to give Flores plenty of counter opportunities. You're the taller man. You want to stand outside like this, Joe, and you want to tempt the shorter man to jump in, to do that, to reach in. And when he reaches in, you want to take advantage of those holes.
Seeing more of that from Darnell Wilson here in this second round. There's a lunging lead left hand. And as they separate, you see that Flores was quick to throw out a left hook.
See, so far, the old-time trainers would say Flores has done the hard part. He's made Wilson miss. He's made Wilson reach and lunge. Now he has to do the fun part, make him pay. That looked like nothing right there, but that was a smart move by Flores. When he was disengaging, he took his arms and he turned the shoulders of Wilson, and he went out the side, and he moved Wilson off balance, so Wilson couldn't catch him on the way out.
Crafty move as Wilson comes up short with that right hand, swings wild with the left.
Actually, we talked about from the last round, you could see Flores on the outside where the taller man belongs, and he's making Wilson jump in, and then he makes him pay as he goes out. A look on another angle. Again, Wilson being forced to reach in, get wild. Now it's just a matter of time before Flores starts making him pay a little bit more. He's doing the hard part. He's making him miss.
Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas with you, our main event here in Dover, Delaware. Unbeaten BJ Flores. Can he keep that game plan going against the hard punching Darnell Wilson? Round 3 scheduled for 12. Darnell Wilson in the midst of a career bounce back and high point. He's won 4 straight after losing 4 straight.
You know, it doesn't take a genius to come up with a fight plan here. You have the undefeated Flores, who's faster, he's taller, he's longer, and he has a guy in front of him who has dynamite in his hands. Stay away. Stay on the outside. Flores has been doing that.
You know, that was a point of concern in the camp of BJ Flores prior to us going on the air tonight. They were out here measuring off this ring, Teddy, and they were complaining that, hey, looks like about a 16-foot ring. It's definitely a Darnell Wilson ring.
Well, that's something really you have to check and you have to be on top of before the day of the fight.
If you want it in the contract for 20 feet or 22 or upwards of 24, then you got to put it in. But
it's
obviously
it's something difficult that when you get there that day and you see that it's smaller than you want it, there's not much you can do about it. Again, that's something that you have to be cognizant of before you get to the day of the fight. But it's something you don't want your fighter to hear you talk about. But you don't want him to think, going into the biggest fight of his career, that you're worried about anything.
Darnell Wilson and BJ Flores blessed to have 2 real good veterans of the game in their corner. Kenny Adams, of course, former Olympic head coach, and Charles Mooney, who you see on top in the corner of Darnell Wilson, silver medalist from that famed 76 team up in Montreal.
Kenny Adams, former Army coach, too, brings the discipline of the armed services in. As you said, Mooney was a terrific amateur.
Don't punch that. Very good.
BJ Flores, biggest fight of his career
You see right there, Joe, you can make an argument that when they both got inside, Flores did what he should do. He tied up. Wilson did what he should not do. He allowed himself to be tied up.
Let's see if that's going to the knee touch. Steve Smoger is saying that is no knockdown, nor is that. But the action heats up here in the closing moments of round 3. Knee definitely touched the Flores. We're going to stay here and go through the replay sequences. But that may have been a clubbing forearm. We will take a look. End of 3. Things heating up here in Dover, Delaware. Important cruiserweight fight between Flores and Wilson.
Don't aim at his head. You got to turn that thing under. Give him some Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what you can do. Let it go. You got to let your hands go, son.
I want you to turn, pivot a little bit to the right and drop that quick right hand off. You understand me? Quick right hand, quick snap, and quit slinging punches. Don't be slapping and slinging punches. You're trying to protect yourself. Be smart. BJ don't play to the crowd. Understand me?
Here's a look at the replay. Off balance was Wilson. That was ruled a slip.
That replay was at the end. It was early on. Was where Flores' knee went down to the ground. Our truck's going to look for it, and we will be able to bring you that replay hopefully later.
So round 4. In that 3rd round, Darnell Wilson had a 9-5 connect advantage. We have not had high totals of connects in this fight. Of course, in the case of the Dingling man, Darnell Wilson, the black trunks, all he needs is one solid connect to turn things around and or end this fight. He possesses that kind of power.
You know, there comes a time in everybody's career where you have to step up. And the matchmaking, the decision of who to step up with, almost as important as what the talent of your fighter is, as far as how far forward he's going to go in his career. When I had a fighter, Joe, at that point when they had to step up, you always knew that sometime during the fight they would falter because they'd never been there before. Maybe they'd hit a little spurt where they weren't sure of themselves, they wouldn't be doing what you wanted. But during that moment, you wanted to make sure they were in there with somebody who couldn't take them out with one shot while they were faltering. You wanted a guy who couldn't really bang. So if they faltered, they could get past that and survive it. Flores does not have that privilege tonight. If he falters a little bit, he's got a guy that can get him out of there before he corrects it.
Yeah, you make a mistake against Wilson, you may be staring up at the chandelier. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 2 rounds to 1 for the unbeaten BJ Flores.
You just know
right hand comes in from Flores.
You just know there's going to be a moment when a young fighter is in a place he's never been before, where he's going to take a moment to take a deep breath. You just don't want to punch in front of him when he's taking that.
So would you have chose the Dingling man as the step-up fight if you were managing the career of BJ?
No, I would step up with somebody else. Not that they made a mistake. They may win this fight, and everything's going to be rosy. But I would first step up with somebody who couldn't punch and see how he does. See how consistent he is in areas that he needs to be consistent. See how much he does falter. And then off of that, maybe go after someone like the Dingling man after I have more of a sure idea of how my guy's going to behave with that new atmosphere, with that new air.
Of course, this potentially is a very nice notch on the belt with the ring ranking status of Darnell Wilson being number 9. So a great opportunity for BJ Flores, but a very good point by Teddy about managing the career and understanding what's opposite you.
And potentially it could be a highlight on SportsCenter.
And we've seen that before with Darnell Wilson. Play of the day material can come from those fists of fury. Coming to the end of round 4 on Friday Night Fights. All right, here's what happened in that 3rd round when Flores' knee touched. Does a punch land here, though?
You hear me? Give him the unexpected.
Teddy, knockdown or no knockdown?
From that angle, from that side, very hard to see. Definitively, you cannot give an answer if that right hand lands or if it even glances because with the power of Wilson, with Flores coming to him, if that glanced, possibly that would have been enough to put him on a knee. But again, you can't get a clear look at what that punch did.
Referee Steve Smoger said that was not a knockdown, and there was a moment later when Darnell Wilson lost his balance that was also ruled as swift. The one thing you can say for sure is that the punch did not land flush. You cannot say a punch was landed, but to your point, Darnell Wilson is so powerful that even a glance of a right hand from him maybe was enough.
Or maybe you could give credit to Flores with his instinct. And you don't know about instincts of a fighter until they're in a position to show those instincts, that he understood that he was in a perilous position. Go down on a knee because something else was coming, and he would avoid that something else. And that something else was a left hook. One thing that replay showed me was Wilson has the ability not just to score a knockout because he has thunder in his hands, but he has the ability to use his experience to suddenly lay back and time an opponent. He does that well. And he may have to do that with the taller Flores. Allow Flores to come to him and bait him a little bit. And maybe time him coming in. I think you're starting to see the tide change a little bit, where Wilson's not going to just chase Flores and leave himself wide open. I think right now he's looking to do what I talked about. Try to time Flores at the right moment. And that's exactly what Wilson's trying to do.
Tried to do it just moments ago.
He doesn't want to leave himself wide open by chasing a man that he's been missing for the most part. Now, Joe, where he's going to time him, look at Wilson. He's looking for a spot. And it's either going to be when he thinks Flores is coming in, he'll set his feet and he'll let it rip. Or it'll be when Flores is going out. And he just tried it right there.
Flores back straight out. Wilson came with a left hand. Two-punch combination for Flores.
We saw just there Wilson trying to time Flores coming in, and he just missed.
Boy, he really gives you that sense that something could happen at any moment. The Ding-a-ling man. End of 5.
Here's an example from the last round we were talking about where Wilson is just waiting for a moment to time Flores. And he thought he had the moment right there, and you could see he reacted, and he was just a little bit off target.
Friday Night Fights presented by Just for Men Hair Color. Round 6 of our main event. BJ Flores and Darnell Wilson. Interestingly, Darnell Wilson, who's used to putting opponents to sleep, said to me yesterday that he's been suffering from insomnia and recently got a prescription to help. And he feels like his energy is up because of it. There's one cruiserweight in the world who has high energy, that's for sure, and it is the IBF champion of the world, Steve USS Cunningham. Steve, of course, anytime top-level cruiserweights are in the ring, your attention is right on it, and I know you probably have a lot of analysis of what you've seen so far between Flores and Wilson. What do you like? What don't you like?
Well, I like what BJ Flores is doing. He's sticking and moving like I said he would, using that jab, keeping his range, not giving Darnell Wilson his battleground, basically. Basically, Wilson, all he has is that counter. He has that one-shot counter that he's trying to land, and he has nothing else, and he's trying to work it.
Steve Cunningham, the IBF champion of the world, in with Brian Kenny tonight, doing a great job, Steve.
One thing that Wilson is not doing, and he could help himself by doing it, it's so easy to say with the shorter, slower Wilson that he's not going to have a chance to get into a jabbing contest with the taller, faster Flores, who uses the jab as his primary weapon. But what Wilson could do is use that jab to the chest of Flores, just to stabilize him a little bit, just to line him up a little bit for something else.
Left hand landed moments ago from Wilson. There's that left hand again, but that was behind the head of Flores.
And if Wilson would use that jab, Joe, to the chest of Flores, it would slow Flores' movement down a little bit and take some of the confidence away. When you're getting touched by somebody, you don't feel as sure of yourself.
See, still plenty of movement in Flores. This is with the right hand. You can see the speed differential there. Coming to the end of round 6, the halfway point. 12 rounds, cruiserweights on Friday Night Fights. There is Rob Calloway, Brian. Seen him plenty of times on Friday Night Fights. 67-win veteran. He fights either as a small heavyweight or here in this cruiserweight division. That's been up to 200 pounds is the limit. And he is helping out in the corner of the undefeated 29-year-old BJ Flores tonight.
And he said earlier, he came over here and he said to me, Teddy, mention my name, would you please? I'd like to be in that cruiserweight mix too.
Well, he deserves that. He has been around the block, and he's fought a lot of name heavyweights as a smaller heavyweight, but we've seen him at cruiserweight many times. Had a nice win over Terry Smith this past year on Friday Night Fights, and he's a skillful veteran. Cruiserweight division, a very deep and talented division. A lot of the top names in the division are European-based. Combination from Wilson, and the right hand was able to score against Flores.
Don't punch that. Very good.
You know, I talked earlier about when you make that step up, you can falter a little bit. You could argue that right now Flores is faltering a little bit, at least in his administration of offense. You can see he's not doing much. He's a little unsure of himself. And these are the moments where a more experienced opponent like Wilson can start to take control a little bit. And if he has power, that control can be really, really dangerous.
You see slim pickings in the punches this round, 2 minutes in, and not much landing. Long, rangy right hand from Flores, and then snaps back the head of Wilson with a jab. Confidence from Flores, two-punch combination, then goes with a jab to the midsection, and it creates an opening for Wilson to fire off.
We know the strengths of Wilson is his power, but one of his weaknesses is sometimes he's just not busy enough. That's showing itself right now.
We've seen that before.
Right hand under. And free yourself so you continue
Last
to throw
couple
your
rounds.
punches.
Darnell
Do
Wilson
that stuff when you told me, you said, you'd have said,
has not been taking the stool in the corner.
Now that can be good and bad.
Well, what's the bad about it?
Well, first of all, the good about it is that you're showing your opponent that, hey, you're in there with a guy you've never been in there with before. I don't even sit. I don't get tired. The bad is if you saw it sitting suddenly, your opponent looks across the ring and says, hey, I'm getting to him. He's getting tired.
Wilson going after it to start off this 8th round. George Foreman did that back in the day. And now you can see a different tone to this fight as the Dingling man looks to ring the bell.
Flores came in here with two chores. One is the defensive chores, to stay away from those heavy hands. And he's trying to do that right now of Wilson. But the other chore is to find a way to create offense without leaving yourself open defensively, because if you don't throw enough at Wilson, sooner or later he's going to walk in shop on you.
Let's bring in the Olympic silver medalist and trainer of Darnell Wilson, Charles.
Come on, baby. Come on.
Charles, what concerns you right now with Darnell? What do you want to see?
Well, I like to see him throw the hook and bring the right hand under, because the kid is, see, he's ducking. He's ducking right under the left hook. So we practiced throwing the left hook with the right hand under, and I can't get him to do it right now.
Charles, would you like to see Wilson throw a nice timed body shot, maybe to take some of the air out of these tires?
Yeah, I've been asking to do that, but I think the boy's got a hard hand today. I'm confused because he, boy, was a great training camp.
All right, we'll let you get back to work, Charles. As
I
Darnell
think we might have a knockout here. Just a second.
Here comes the dingling man as Flores pushes him back.
This is what I talked about when I said, when you step up, you don't want a guy with TNT in the glove, because you're going to falter. Your guy is going to falter in the spot. Whether he survives that spot has everything to do with the power or the lack of that the guy has. Again, double chore for Flores. Yeah, you got to be defensive, but you got to find a way to create offensive, and at the same time, not make yourself available. And that's where Flores having a little trouble. He's on the defensive mode right now, but he's having trouble finding a way to get confidence with offense and not leave himself available. Because without offense, you're not going to keep Wilson from coming in.
These are the challenges of taking a step up.
Watch this replay from the last round. I think this could be what really hurts Flores. Look how he falls forward to grab. When he falls forward like that off the ropes there, Joe, towards Wilson, he leaves himself wide open. All Wilson has to do is take a step back and throw an uppercut.
You saw Wilson continue to punch throughout that series. Round number 9, Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you ringside. The time in a fight where things tend to get interesting with the dingling man, Darnell Wilson, coming off that knockout of the year on Friday Night Fights. And there is the uppercut. A lead uppercut that time from Wilson. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 76-76.
Don't punch, step, step.
Let's bring in Kenny Adams, the trainer of the unbeaten BJ Flores. Kenny, I heard concern in your voice after that last round. You said to BJ, don't worry about the people booing you. You have to move.
Definitely. I mean, the key thing is that what we've done and what our work has been for this fight is for him to move around the ring, utilize his angles, use his jab effectively, sometimes step to the right, throw the right hand back with the jab, turn with the wide hooks, throw the right hands. These are all the things that we worked on, moving around this ring, using angle. I knew we were going to get booed some on this, but hey, this guy can punch, so we're not going to stand there. It's just like trying to stand in front of a sledgehammer, you know what I mean?
Kenny, you have a tough chore on your hands. I was talking about it earlier. You had to come up with a defensive manner for Flores to be able to survive the power of Wilson.
Right.
But then you had to come up with a way to create offense while staying safe defensively.
Right. And to be honest with you, he's doing a decent job, but he's not doing the job that I really want him to do. He's not utilizing his jab enough. He's not throwing the long right hand punches. He's trying to make this guy, that's what he should be doing most of the time. Utilize the jab effectively that way. He uses feints, and I'm pleased when he's doing that. Even when he missed it, it doesn't matter because it keeps him from doing something. But if he's going to try to bang with this guy, see, that's the problem. There's a mistake right there. You can't bang with the banger, you know. So I think sometimes he listens to his crowd, and that's how machoism is in him. But hopefully we can get through this and we can get a big win.
You know, Kenny, some of the old timers would say that your guy's doing the hard part, making him miss. Now he's got to do the fun part, and he better start punching and making him pay.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you, Teddy. You know, that's the way it's got to be. He should be doing that. Right now, he's waiting. There he goes. There he goes. He should be dropping the 1-2 off on him, and he's back up.
Kenny Adams, the trainer of BJ Flores. A lot of work still ahead of that tandem. Thanks very much, Kenny. Coming to the end of round number 9. Darnell Wilson trying to put Flores in his sights. Stephanie Flores, the wife of BJ Flores, she knows how important these next 3 rounds are in the career of her husband. He comes in undefeated, facing Ring Magazine's number 9 cruiserweight in the world, Darnell Wilson. It's a golden opportunity to take a major leap forward. Good, fast, snapping jab from Flores. Teddy scorecard, 86-86, 10-10 last round.
What's that old saying? Look before you leap, and make sure it's not a punch in front of you. Why you added that part?
Crowd here knows what the Dingling man wants of this fight, but not thrilled with what BJ Flores is putting forth from a game plan in this fight of moving on the outside, trying to stay away from that power of Darnell Wilson. Kenny Adams, the trainer of BJ Flores, told us moments ago he doesn't care. Let him move. He wants to win the fight.
But to win the fight, he's got to find a way to put offense with the defense. And right now, Flores having trouble finding that way.
Couple of thudding right hands.
And again, Joe, this is why I mentioned early in the night that when you take a step up, you can almost be sure that your guy taking that step for the first time, he's going to have a moment where he's not sure of himself. And during that moment, will he survive it? Well, that depends, again, on what kind of power the guy in front of him has. And if you're in there with a guy with power, well, you just might have your heart in your throat. You can see Flores doing a good job of seeing everything coming. His eyes are wide open. And he's making Wilson, for the most part, miss pretty good. But he doesn't have that experience and that confidence with the punch in front of him to come back with his own. Again, you can see right there, Flores does a good job on defense, but just not sure of himself to cross over that line and come with offense. And when that happens, then he will be a mature fighter, Joe, and a complete fighter. And it might have to happen in the next couple rounds if he's going to win this fight.
Especially in the eyes of the judges. See how they will score these rounds. As we come to the end of round number 10 in this main event here in Dover, Delaware. So glad you made the decision to join us here on Friday Night Fights, presented by Just for Men. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you. A good welterweight fight coming up this weekend between Paul Williams and Carlos Quintana. And Teddy, that sets us up for the Just for Men hair color stay in the fight analysis between Williams and Quintana.
How do you stay in the fight if we're not in the fight?
Let's get into the fight. Let's get the analysis brought to you by Just for Men.
All right, well, for Paul Williams, use that reach, and he's got about a 22-foot reach. I mean, he's a southpaw with long arms. Use that reach to control everything in the center of the ring, and just don't let Quintana get anything going. And if you're Quintana or you're a southpaw too, and you're a quick guy, and you have legs, well, use those legs, get angles, and try to find a way to take away the reach of Williams. Maybe get him to reach in a little bit where you can counter, or get a little bit of a side move on him.
Starting the 11th round. You remember the last time we had an 11th round with Darnell Wilson? It produced this. The knockout of the year. But can he find the elusive, unbeaten BJ Flores? 6 minutes to go.
Well, one thing to the credit of Flores, sometimes I've seen in the past, he does what Nwodo did in that fight we just showed with that devastating knockout. He gets trapped on the ropes. Flores is known enough and had the help of his terrific trainer, Kenny Adams, to make sure they came in here prepared not to get trapped on the ropes. You know that old saying, Joe, where they talked in the show business, where a young actress or actor went out on stage for the first time and said, "You're going out a kid, you're going to come back a star"?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that, and it's really similar to that when you step up in competition the way a fighter does here. Flores went out there, a naive kid, a kid with some talent, a kid who was undefeated, but there was a lot of questions. Right now, he's growing up a little bit, and either he's going to grow up and mature in the next couple rounds and find a way to start moving those hands a little bit with the defense, or he's going to wind up getting his first loss.
Jab from Flores. There's a right hand that lands from Flores. Wilson up 96-95 according to Teddy's scorecard. Combination from Flores, the lead right, was able to land.
You could see Flores maturing a little bit right in front of your eyes. At least I think I see that. Where he's getting a little bit more. He went through that floundering period where he wasn't sure of himself for a few rounds, but now he's starting to assert himself a little bit.
And he sees the light at the end of the tunnel. 3 minutes to go. The action last night here at Dover Downs. Come this summer, it's the 40th anniversary of stock car racing at the International Speedway. Of course, the Dover 400 on ABC on September 21st, just a stone's throw away. We have our own race to the finish line here. 3 minutes to go between Darnell Wilson and the unbeaten BJ Flores. Teddy's scorecard, 105-105.
Well, conditioning won't be a problem in this last round for Flores. He's coming in 18 pounds lighter than his last fight. Joe, you can really see maybe the coming of age, again, of an undefeated fighter. Flores had maybe 3 or 4 rounds where he really floundered, but he survived. And now you can see him just much more sure of himself down the stretch. And that happens with a fighter. I mean, it happens with anybody when they're making that transition professionally from one level to another. Happens with a baseball player, a football player. Happens with a lawyer in a court of law, where he's in his first case, and halfway through the case, he starts to get a little bit more sure of himself.
Don't punch that.
And he starts to talk back to the DA. Well, right now, Flores talking back, not to the DA, but to Wilson.
A little uppercut as they separate with the left hand of Flores. There's a real maturation process. Can he go from prospect to contender? Will that be the case? How have the judges seen the back half of this fight?
Well, right now, you can see Wilson. He's looking for a spot for that power. And again, with his experience, he's going to look to catch Flores going out or maybe time him when he comes in. I mean, you could see it in the way that Wilson's going about it. He's setting his feet. He's looking at Flores. And he's just looking for a moment to catch him stepping away, or maybe if he would fall in.
Don't punch, push off.
Last 30 seconds, keep in mind, we know what kind of one-punch power Wilson possesses. Will he let it go here?
But where Flores has to be careful here is right here. When he falls into grab, and it's not wrong to grab, but when he falls into grab, he does that. He leaves himself open.
That's it. Which way will it go? Will Darnell Wilson maintain his top 10 status? Will BJ Flores stay undefeated? Stephanie, his wife, nervously awaits, as do we, when we come back to Friday Night Fights.
Good job, Quinny.
Nice exchange there between Darnell Wilson and BJ Flores. Flores said, "You did nice work," and Wilson said, "Man, you stayed up against me." The Just for Men hair color fight recap. As you see the numbers there, Flores and Wilson. Wilson with a 119-93 total connect advantage. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. The final round went to the Dingaling man, who had a 17-5 connect advantage on Teddy's scorecard, thus 115-114. But Teddy, the kind of scorecard where you really, some of these rounds, you don't know which way they could lean.
Yeah,
what does the judge say?
I don't try not to make excuses, but I can put out a disclaimer on this one, that this one was very difficult to score, and one that was very difficult, really, to be able to come up with a winner either round.
Well, let's find out. Larry Tornambi is standing by with the results.
From Dover, Delaware, our main event, Julie Letterman scores at 115-113. Joe Pasquale sees it 116-112. And George Hill's final tally, 118-110. For the winner, by unanimous decision, and the new USBA Cruiserweight champ, BJ Flores.
Stephanie's thrilled ringside. BJ celebrating in the ring, and he remains unbeaten. Surprising wide margin by George Hill, 118-110. So he boxes his way to victory against the veteran slugger, and the win streak for Darnell Wilson is now over. He falls to 22-6-3. Unanimous decision win for BJ Flores, 21-0-1. Now we head back to the studio to Brian Kenny and Steve Cunningham.